BizMapPtbo, Peterborough's business vlog. Each episode creates a business map to your success. We will introduce you to people and places in our city who will help you make it happen, showcasing why Ptbo is the place to live, play, and prosper. Welcome to BizMapPtbo. I'm Sofie Andreou. I'm your host for BizMapPtbo. We'd like to share with you how you can grow your company here in Peterborough. In every episode, we'll be showcasing a business or two who is doing something really, really well, and then we'll be introducing you to a map of people from Peterborough who can help you do the same for your company. We'll be sharing stories and advice from people that are part of community partner systems that will help you for free, and we'll be sharing advice to you from our subject matter experts locally here in Peterborough. Enjoy the show. Now let's go to Walton Wood Farms in the beautiful countryside of Peterborough and see what tips they have for this episode's topic, idea to launch.
Well, hello there. Welcome to Walton Wood Farm. Come on in. Let's have a talk. I hear you're thinking about starting a business. That's great. I started our own company right here in the kitchen, whipping up products in this mixer. But enough about me. Let's talk about you and your exciting journey. How do you know if you should start a business? Well, I like to use flying metaphors because my husband and I are both pilots. The entrepreneur is the pilot, and everyone else, the vendors, the customers, your family and friends, and your staff, they're passengers. If you run out of fuel halfway through your journey, you're going to crash and burn, and you're taking everyone with you. That's a very harsh reality. So we want to make sure you're really prepared for this. Before you ever leave the runway, we're going to give you tools so that you can make sure you're on the right path and taking the right journey to success. We've all seen products that were great that failed, and we've seen products that were really awful succeed. Do you remember the pet rock? What's the difference between the two? You, the entrepreneur, that's the difference between success and failure. So how do you know if you're cut out for it? Should you ask your friends and family? Probably not. They're not really objective. But we have really great resources in our community, local business groups that offer training, free mentorship, and they can help you decide whether or not you're cut out for this. And you can consult with your local business leaders. They'll help you find your way. Go online, do some research. Top 20 qualities of an entrepreneur, for example. Really do some self-reflecting. Do you have those qualities? Can you grind through the little nitty-gritty details that you have to build a business? Can you do mountains of paperwork on a weekend when people are out there having some fun? If you're passionate and you have drive and self-motivation, you can plow through anything. And that's what it takes to build a successful company. But it's not all or nothing. Maybe finding the right type of business for you is the answer. I have a very good friend who doesn't want to give up his day job. He really likes it, but he'd like to earn some extra money on the side. He's very passionate about fishing, so he started a fishing blog. He gave himself a realistic goal of monetizing it within 1 year. And if it doesn't work, he hasn't lost anything. He hasn't lost any sleepless nights or any money. If it does work, great. He's built a nice little business and an income. But even if he fails at it, he's built valuable skills that he can use for the rest of his life. And that's what I call success. If you're thinking about quitting your day job, that's a whole nother story, and you really need to make sure you're prepared. And if you decide not to embark on this journey, that's a successful decision too, because it takes true, honest reflection to know if you're cut out for something. Good for you. But if you do decide to go into business, we're here for you. Our community will support you, and we have all the training and resources that you need to be successful. Whatever you decide, congratulations and good luck. What we do here is make bath and beauty products that target emotional occasions and archetypes. That helps us stand out in a crowded market. Our products are unique gifts for hard-to-buy-for people. I'm going to share with you today some of my favorite business tools. My favorite tool is a bullet journal. You don't need any special equipment, you just need a notebook, but I do prefer one where the pages come out and are removed. A bullet journal will help you keep track of all your daily activities, but it's very different than a day timer because as you have a thought or get interrupted in the process of doing your work, you index the pages so that 6 months or 9 months from now, if I want to find something, I can go right to my index and find it immediately. It really helps me keep track of all my business activities. My second favorite tool is the Moving Business Canvas model. It's basically a big whiteboard in my office, and it helps me to see the big picture of my company at any given time, so I know where to zig and zag, or what I might be missing. I highly recommend that you use one in your office. And my third favorite tool is the Business Development Bank of Canada. I'm in a coaching program there, and my coach is like having an MBA in my pocket. I don't have a formal education in business, but he helps me to see where I might be going wrong or off track. And we're creating a 5-year strategic plan for our products, marketing, staff, and learning how to execute it so that we're thinking far ahead into the future. But the Business Development Bank has other programs too. They can help you with your sales department and your marketing, and they offer financing, which is really helpful for a startup. I don't know what business you're in, but I hope these tools that we've talked about today are going to help you a little bit with your business launch. Thanks for stopping by.
Here we are, Peterborough Economic Development. I hope you're excited as I am. We're here to talk to Jamie Coughlin, and he's going to tell us how to go from inception to launch.
Hi, my name is Jamie Coughlin. I'm a business counselor here at Peterborough Economic Development. We're the lead agency for economic development and business support for the City and County of Peterborough. We host services such as the Business Advisory Center, which is one of 53 small business enterprise centers across the province, which is funded by the Ministry of Economic Development and Growth. What we do here is basically help entrepreneurs start and grow their small businesses. Our support includes free business counseling, which involves thinking about their business plan, figuring out their starting points, setting goals, looking at their cash flow, be there again just setting up and figuring out whether their idea is viable or whether they're kind of putting together a business plan to apply for a loan. We offer programs such as Starter Company and Summer Company. Starter Company helps youth under age 30 start a small business, and that support comes in the form of access to mentoring, training programs, support for developing a business plan, as well as a small micro grant. And we have a similar program called Summer Company, which runs in the summer months aimed at students who are returning to school in the fall. So when entrepreneurs come into the center and want to talk about their business, they probably have a lot of different questions, be it like, who's my target customer? What are the things I've got to do to make it successful? How do I move forward on this? How do I make money? And one of the best tools that we have for people is to start with something called the business model canvas. And this is a really great tool to start with, as opposed to say starting with a full business plan, because number one, it's just one piece of paper. So it's really easy to kind of get started on and see your whole business. Number two, it's something which you can always be changing and updating. And number three, it's something which is always evolving with your business as things change. It kind of gonna go along with you from the beginning to every stage of your development. So the business model canvas is really, this is your business model. It's how you make money, but it's also the 9 kind of building blocks of any business, whether you're selling cupcakes or whether you're starting a salon or starting an IT company. That includes kind of who my customers are, the key relationship I have with those customers, how I access those customers, what's the value proposition of really, why does someone choose to purchase from me versus somebody else, the activities that you do in your business that makes you unique, the resources you need to pull this off, any kind of partnerships you've got, and most importantly, what are the costs involved in operating this business and the products that you sell, and what are the things you sell, that make you money. So here's the business model canvas. And I'm going to tell you a story about one of our clients, the kind of business model of where she started. And she's kind of moved on beyond this, but this was kind of a starting point for how she kind of figured out how to launch her business. So the client her name is Brooke Hammer, and she has a business called Chimp Treats. And she makes an all banana iced treat called an ice cream. And she was one of the finalists in the Bears Lair competition this year. So this is kind of like her story. So Chimp Treats is, as I mentioned, an all banana ice cream product. But really, when she was thinking about how do I launch this business, one of her big questions, well, who are going to be my customers? And so really a big part of our customers are going to be probably moms with kids, to keep it simple. And the value proposition for them is it's a vegan, all-natural, non-dairy, guilt-free treat that they can feel good about feeding their kids. Now the relationship she has with them is that, again, she's providing them with a food product, but she's also kind of making their life easier by giving the kids something good to eat as opposed to having to eat some kind of some junk food. The channel that she gets it to them is she sells their product through retail stores like Joanne's Place or through the Silver Bean Cafe. So you've got a great idea. You've got customers lined up, you've got a reason why they're going to buy something, you've got a way to deliver it to them. So the question is, well, how do I pull this off? The next part of the canvas really kind of looks at this back end behind the scenes. So the key activities that Brooke would do that other businesses don't do is she has to make banana ice cream products in terms of turning bananas into this frozen treat. She has to package it, she has to market it, she has to sample it with customers. The resources she needs is equipment to make it, packaging in order to kind of do the branding effectively, and kind of marketing resources to kind of get the word out about the great product. She doesn't do it all on her own, so she has partners that she works with. And that might be your distributor to get it into the retail stores. That might be your web developer to help you kind of develop a great website. That might be your graphic designer, such as Studio N, that kind of does really beautiful labels for her. And then this is kind of where, in a sense, you can actually pull this off in your business plan, your business model. And then the next piece here is looking at your cost structure. So for her, her cost structure is her raw ingredients, such as bananas, it's packaging, it's refrigeration, it's transportation to get this to the retailer. So she's able to look at it and say, okay, these are my costs for what I have to produce, what it costs for me to make this. And then you look at it saying, okay, this is what I can sell it for. So you've got that all-important P word, which is profit. And then these are your revenue streams, which is how she sells her product. So that's being sold in the grocery stores, grocery type stores, or being sold in cafes. And it's pretty simple. Then you can look at the outside of the business model canvas as well and kind of see, okay, what else is going on that might affect this model that I've created. So I hope that kind of tells a bit of a story how this worked for that entrepreneur. And we look forward to working with you on how to kind of map out your business.
Welcome back. I'd like to share with you some tips to take your business from inception to launch. One thing you want to do is use Google. Google is your friend. Use Google and find out, see what others are already doing online. Search your company name ideas that you have in mind. Search keywords. Go to Google and see what others are doing. Make sure the name you choose stands out and is unique. Once you have your company name, and we will have a whole segment dedicated to branding, so a lot more information on that segment. But once you have your company name, go to domains.com or godaddy.com and buy your domain, meaning your www. In this case, BizMapPtbo.com, and buy it. It's around $10 a year. So buy that. If you're not sure which name you like just now, buy a few. It'll expire in a year. If you're not using them, continue to renew the one that you did buy for your company. Then, if you believe you're going to be using Twitter, and we're going to have a whole segment on deciding which mediums you should be using on social media. But if you believe that you'll be using Twitter, then go to Twitter and secure your handle, secure your account. So it matches your URL and it matches your Twitter handle, for example. That is consistent branding, and now you've captured it before your competitors have captured it. Do your Google searches, make sure that you're unique enough, and then secure them on GoDaddy or domain.com and secure it on Twitter. Welcome to the Greater Peterborough Innovation Cluster. We are here and we're about to talk to Rose Terry. She's going to tell us all about the Peterborough Innovation Cluster, the Greater Peterborough Innovation Cluster, as well as something called the Cube.
Hi, my name is Rose Terry and I am the Entrepreneurship and Marketing Coordinator for the Greater Peterborough Innovation Cluster. And the Innovation Cluster is a not-for-profit organization that helps innovation and technology companies to find their best path to market and become successful. And the 5 key areas that we focus on here are health, digital, clean tech, ag tech, and youth entrepreneurship. And the coolest part about the innovation cluster is that we have something called the Cube. And at the Cube, we actually are Peterborough's only full-service business incubator, and we have 2 incubators now. So the first one is located at Trent University in the DNA building, and it is 1,000 square feet, and that allows for our clients to have access to all of the labs and their world-class facilities there. And then the second incubator that we have is downtown, and that incubator is 10,000 square feet. And the awesome thing about our incubation program is that it gets companies up out of their basements and interacting and sharing their new ideas with other entrepreneurs and business people in the community. We have so many different services that are available. When a new business approaches us, they can approach us either as a virtual client, which means that they will just come to us with their business idea on a semi-regular basis for us to work with them, or they can also approach us and actually apply to be in our business incubator, which means that they would have complimentary business space to work with us in our incubator. So the cool thing about it is that virtual clients and Cube clients actually have access to pretty much the exact same resources, except for the fact that they don't get office space if they're not a Cube client. And what happens is we generally will sit down with them, so they have access to our advisors. They have access to mentors through our Expert in Residence program. They have access to all of our knowledge partners, which are business professionals located within the community that are subject matter experts. And they also have access to what is called the Path to Building a Successful Business. And this is actually a 4-week intensive program that takes our entrepreneurs right from the business model canvas and building a business plan all the way to record keeping, for example, and everything in between. And it takes them through the four weeks, and then once they're finished that, they actually are able to enter the Cube, or they don't have to. They can still be a virtual client, but that will mean that they are set up for business success right out of the gate. Then from there, we also give them access to mover and shaker networks. We have a ton of great events here in Peterborough. And then we also have access to capital. So if they're starting a business and they feel that that's the next step for their business, we can introduce them to the Peterborough Region Angel Network. And finally, the great thing about the Cube and our incubator is that it gets them out of their basement, working with other entrepreneurs. Sometimes we find that our incubator is kind of a support group, because you will notice that entrepreneurs will be collaborating with other entrepreneurs in the Cube and sharing their successes and their failures and working together quite closely. So that's probably the coolest thing about the Cube. The other thing is our advisors also will kind of become a part of their company. So their success is our success as well. So we like to really work closely with our entrepreneurs, and I think that's what makes us different from many of the organizations in town. Let's talk about Ribbit. Ribbit is an awesome duo that came out of Trent University. They won the $5 challenge. They actually broke the record for the most amount of money made during the $5 challenge. And they approached us because they wanted to change that idea into an actual digital solution. So what happened was Ribbit applied to be in the Cube with us. And once they were accepted, we moved them into the Trent Cube location, and we started to work with them on their business plan and their accounting and their bookkeeping and their marketing plan, and move them forward through there. The coolest part about that was that they actually met their app developer in the Cube. So you can see that synergy of two businesses collaborating to create something new worked very well in their case, which was awesome. And then once they had created the app and launched it, we continued to work with them, and recently have moved them into our downtown incubator because they work with quite a few different businesses downtown. And we've connected them with our Experts in Residence program, so they've been able to work more on their social media and hopefully expanding outside of Peterborough in the near future as well. And recently, they've also been inquiring about pitching to the Peterborough Region Angel Network about getting some capital and some investment. So that's something that's kind of cool as well. So that's a neat example of how the incubator has helped one of our local companies. Thank you for visiting us at theCUBE. We hope to see you and your innovative ideas here with us soon.
Here we are, Cody and James, Chartered Professional Accountants. We've asked Gwyneth to share with us the advice, the financial advice she would give to a business or person who has a new idea. Here we go, idea to launch. Take it away, Gwyneth.
So you have a great idea and you come in and see me, and I'm going to ask you a whole bunch of questions and make sure that you have actually thought this all through, because I want to make sure that I'm not leading you astray from the get-go. Some folks come in and they've already got their business plan, and that's great. But if you don't, you have a lot of homework to do. So step one, I mean, maybe I'm a little biased, but finances are pretty critical to every business. You need to convince me that you're going to make as much money from this business as you would make if you just had a job. If you can't, you need to start over again, okay? It's really important that you have enough personally, pay your rent and put food on your table. So that's what I start out by saying to people with a bright idea. So once you've identified that figure, the next step is to do a ton of research. Now, you've probably already heard about the business model canvas, and that can help. The things that we're looking for from a financial aspect are, we want to determine what people are willing to pay for whatever you are selling, how much it directly costs to sell, to create whatever it is you're creating. If it's a product, what are the inputs? What are those direct costs? Then how much are the indirect costs, overheads, things like your heat and hydro and your rent and office supplies and things like that, internet. Then once we've gathered all that information, we can run some numbers and figure out what your break-even point is. So at what point have you sold enough to just cover all of those costs, okay? Then the next step is, using that number that we came up with in step one, how much do you have to sell so that you're actually going to have enough at the end of the day to pay yourself? Because that's what this is all about. So you have to figure out what are the level of sales you'll need to reach the take-home pay goal that you set in step number one. Now, once all those numbers are gathered together, our next step is to figure out the cash flow. Almost every business has ebbs and flows. Almost every business, there is a month or two or three where there aren't going to be very many sales at all. Sometimes it's during the summer, sometimes it's at Christmas, sometimes like businesses like accounting, people don't want to talk about doing accounting in December, so business dies off. Every business has a lull. You're going to need to pay those overheads. The rent doesn't go away, neither does the heat and hydro. So you need to convince me that you're going to have enough cash flow to be able to cover over those dips. So in the lean times, which are typically your startup phase and those off seasons, where is the money coming from? Have you decided to apply for a loan or a line of credit, or do you have family? Do you have a partner or spouse who's going to be able to pay for the home expenses while you're struggling to just make things meet at the business? So that is something we spend a fair amount of time on, making sure there's some cash flow there. When I have folks come in and if they have done all that homework, we start in on this list, which is actually on the BizMapPtbo website. And when we get into that section, we talk about, okay, what is the form of business ownership? What's the name of the business, because you have to register it. We talk about what licensing and financing is going to be required. We discuss whether HST is required and how to register for that. We talk about employees and how to make sure you're set up right for that. All sorts of other things that we will get into in later episodes. But at this point, you've come to me with a bright idea, and all I'm going to say is, prove it. Can you make money off of this?
Well, that's a wrap. Thank you very much for joining us on our first episode of BizMapPtbo, from inception to launch. We look forward to seeing you at our next episode. We'll be recording that episode at our new studio at Amuse Cafe. We're quite excited. Thank you, Amuse, for opening up your doors to be our studio for the next episodes of BizMapPtbo, and a special thank you to our Chamber of Commerce for helping us make this happen.